study is about the community advice office sector. Now, this is a national sector of community advice offices which dates back to the 1980s, and people will know that in apartheid era, these offices were instrumental in dismantling apartheid. However, they still have a very important role to play in today's South Africa, with the challenges of poverty, inequality, and access to legal rights and access to legal advice, which is a key mandate of these organizations. So the National Alliance of Community Advice Officers have asked us to do the study to show the value of these offices, and the data that we've gathered is based on three pillars. It's about a desktop analysis of existing information, but we've also did quantitative and qualitative analysis in terms of key informant interviews with staff of these community advice offices, and we also did a range of focus groups across 19 community advice offices in 5 provinces with the staff. And then also we spoke to actual beneficiaries, the clients making use of these community advice offices, and we conducted a beneficiary survey of about 186 people that visited these centers, and we asked them questions as they on the day that they came for these services. And this data is extremely valuable in making a case for public funding. I think this seminar is looking at a broad range of stakeholders, but particularly people obviously working in the civil society sector, and in particular people working at community advice offices. Also government officials who are providing legal services. But what we found in the community advice office sector in these offices is that they provide a range of services, not just legal services. They provide, particularly in the rural areas, people with advice of how to access and get an ID, how to get a social grant. So it's targeted at a broad range of stakeholders. And because these community advice officers also work closely with some of the local municipalities in the particular areas. So for example, in the Ceres municipality, in Ceres particularly, we found that community advice officers, that particular community advice office work with the Department of Housing and helping to get people access to housing, for instance. In broad, those from the civil society sector would be able to link some of the services that they provide with the services that's also provided by the community advice office sector. So for example, you will find that there are a range of community-based organizations that sometimes operate in a silo without knowing that there is a bigger platform or additional or auxiliary services that they can feed into. And as things are standing now, collaborative efforts is quite important. But the public at large also would benefit by this. Obviously, it is really up to some of the civil society organizations to make people aware of these organizations, and the bigger the platform and the bigger the civil society organizations that are involved in this campaign, it will really help. For example, if you're looking at a organization that works on women's rights, they can also then advise that woman to go community advice of a sector in terms of domestic violence, and looking at a legal perspective from that side to get help. So it's a range of organizations that can be targeted for this seminar.